How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be checking out why are manual cars popular in the UK and Europe. The original channel, well, let's see here. The original channel is by Conquer Driving. So, we're going to check it out. And this one was actually suggested by Martin of Fotsy85. If I'm wrong, correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure. I tried going into the Discord. I don't get in Discord often at all, but he sent me a message on there. I did log in. I was trying to log in, and for some reason, I'm trying to upload another video, and my internet's kind of slow. So with it, trying to upload the other video, which is the Don't Look Down challenge, very interesting. Check that out, by the way. That's a crazy video. But anyways, my Discord wouldn't load, so just going by memory, but I'm pretty sure it was Martin/Fotsy85, so shout out to you for the suggestion. And we're going to find out why are manual cars popular in the UK and Europe. Like always, there will be a link to the original video in that description section down below, so why don't you go ahead and hit like and subscribe while you're down there. Maybe even hit the notification bar, drop a comment. That'd be kind of cool. Get that engagement rate boosted, help the video spread in the algorithm, guys. So let's check this out.
I'm in a fairly typical street in the UK. Let's take a look at what people are driving. Here is a Ford Fiesta, and that is a manual. Let's take a look at this Mini across the street.
He's lucky he's not in America, because if you're just roaming around the street here in North America and you're just looking in people's cars, there's so much crime around here. There's so much violence. People own guns. Definitely don't do that in America. In the wrong neighborhood, you might get shot for sure. Disclaimer there.
And I did look both ways, although the camera didn't, before I crossed the road, that is. And that is also a manual. I'm not going to look at this Fiesta because I just looked at that one. So don't need to look at
not?
Fiestas. Let's go and have a look at this Citroen DS3 instead.
Citroen? Who makes that?
Is that a manual or an automatic?
I like this neighborhood. This looks cool. I like the style of it.
A manual. Now,
so I personally like driving manuals. I haven't in years. I've had some manuals. You know, I had what was it? 1991 Eagle Talon. That was a manual vehicle. I had let's see, volume was up a little bit loud. Sorry if that was blasting your eardrums, guys. Let's see. I had a 99 Mitsubishi Eclipse. That was a manual. And then I had, what was it, a 90. I've had a lot of Eclipses, by the way. I like the cars. Eagle Talon, same thing as an Eclipse under the Eagle branding. But what was it, a 94, I think, or a 95 Eclipse. Hey, my Discord finally loaded up. Waiting for that for 20 minutes. Anyways, so I personally like driving manuals, but the only thing is it's not as easy. Obviously, it's more involved. So automatics, you know, when you're cruising through town. And see, we have a lot of stop and go traffic too. So that might be why they're more popular over there. I don't know how the stop signs are in the UK and Europe, but I know in like the Netherlands and stuff, it's hard to find a stop sign. It's just the roads and everything. It's just designed better. There's roundabouts, there's yielding and stuff like that. So you don't have to stop as much. So it makes it easier to use a manual. So when you have to stop and go, and with the massive traffic issues and traffic jams that we have, you know, here in America, it's just kind of a pain in the ass to drive a manual vehicle. So that might be part of the reasoning. It's just my, not final thoughts, but pre-final thoughts, beginning thoughts, right? However you want to say that. Whoops. Oh, there we go.
Mercedes C-Class down there. I believe that is automatic because it's the E model, which means it's going to be hybrid. I'm going to have a quick run just to confirm. Yes, C350E.
He knows his cars.
Is going to be an automatic, but this is
a
much more expensive car, and it's also still fairly young, being 5 years old. Yeah, 5.
Fairly young. I never heard anybody, interesting place to pause it. I never heard anybody refer to a vehicle as fairly young. I've heard, you know, fairly new, or, you know, maybe it's not that old. Fairly young. Interesting.
All petrol and diesel cars need gears. Some change gear automatically for you, and in others you have to change gear manually yourself. All early cars were manual, and the automatic gearbox didn't start to become widely available until the 1930s and 40s.
Okay. I would have thought 50s, but interesting.
Available in certain parts of the world. But that's 80 years ago. Why is the manual still so popular today? And
now you get more control over the vehicle. Like if you're a person that's racing and stuff like that, you have control over the transmission. You can power shift it or whatever you want to call it to kind of like get into that next gear faster and get a lot more acceleration boost. But for your standard driver in America, it's just kind of too much of a pain in the ass, honestly, with the traffic jams I was talking about.
In some markets, such as America, the automatic has been the norm for some time now. In fact, in some states, you can actually pass your driving test in an automatic and be allowed to drive a manual. I can only guess this can be allowed because there's so few manuals that it's not a major safety concern. But in the UK, most small, cheap cars are manual. So if people in the UK could pass in an automatic and then drive a manual, we would have somewhere between 500,000 and 700,000 new drivers each year passing in automatics with no manual experience, taking to the road for the first time in their manual.
Yeah.
And in a country that has a population of only around 67 million, that's a lot of drivers who don't know how to control their car. That could be quite chaotic.
Yes, it can, but not much different than here, because here in America, it doesn't take much to get your license. You know, you get your permit at like 15 or 16, and then I think you have to hold it for like maybe 6 weeks or something like that. And then you just take a driving test. So you go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, right? Department of Bureau of Motor Vehicles, whatever it's called. And you set up your driving test. You go there, and what you do is you drive, and they tell you, okay, go up here, turn left. Okay, go up here, turn right. You know, sometimes, you know, most of the time they'll like say, hey, you know, do some parallel parking, and that's about it. Your driving test is over in about 10, 15 minutes. And most of the time, even if you barely drove good, most of the time I don't know why, but they just kind of like let it pass, I feel like. And then, you know, you just get your license with 6 weeks of driving experience. It's a very terrible thing, and probably why we have so many car crashes around here. And a lot of the car crashes are younger people, you know, teenagers and stuff like that. And like, there's a joke around here, you know, when a person gets their license, they'll joke about like, oh, well, let me know when you're driving so I can stay off the road, you know, because it's just so common.
In the UK, the manual gearbox is in decline. In 2010, 20% of new cars sold were automatic. And back then, that was considered a lot. By 2018, 43% of new cars sold were automatic. But now, nearly 60% of new cars sold in the UK are automatic. So although new drivers are still opting to pass their driving test in a manual, over 90% of driving tests are manual, the automatic is becoming the norm.
So is it in the UK, if you pass your driving test in an automatic, you're only certified to drive in an automatic vehicle? And so is there like a separate test for the manuals? Because the way he's making it sound is almost like there's a separate test for the manual. And so people are passing their tests with the manual vehicle so that they can drive all of them, but then they're starting to gravitate towards the automatics, maybe because it's easier. But again, you know, pass the test with the manual, so they have that option possibly, I think.
So why has it taken so long for the automatic to start to take off in the UK? Well, it's quite simple. Traditional automatics with torque converters were big, heavy and inefficient. That does not bode well with Asian and European cars. In the UK, we primarily use Asian cars and European cars. However, in America, their cars are already big, heavy and inefficient. They have big 5.7 litre V8s, which they call
overkill
50 cubic inch, with loads of torque. So having a less efficient gearbox doesn't make as much of a difference. And gasoline, as they call it over there, is much cheaper. So having the convenience of an automatic makes more sense because the negatives aren't as noticeable. However, if you were to put a traditional automatic in, say, something like a 1.1 litre Ford Fiesta from the 1980s, it's going to drive like you've left the handbrake on. But in the early noughties, or
is that true?
Something started to change. It was out with the traditional torque converter planetary gear automatic and in with the robotized manual. Yes, automatics were no longer really automatics. They were actually a manual, but with a robot changing gear for you. So that got rid of the disadvantage of the automatic being less efficient and bigger and heavier. They're almost...
That is cool. I've never... So can you take a manual vehicle, or an automatic, I mean, if it's just like a robot sort of thing, you know, controlling the gears, but it's set up like a manual, can you take an automatic and easily convert it to a manual without switching out the whole transmission? Like, is there just like a kit that you can get that like rips the robot out and puts in the thing I don't know what it's called, but the gear shifter thing that you hold, right? Sorry, I'm a dumb American. I don't remember what it's called, but that thing. Could you do that?
The same size and same weight. The only disadvantage was the price. Normally it added around £1,000 to £1,500 to the list price of a car, and they worked well in small cars with small engines as well. Therefore, opting to have the extra convenience of the car changing gear for you was no longer such a problem. Well, it was actually convenient. And then the automatic started to become popular. And Japanese manufacturers started to use something called a CVT, which stands for continuously variable transmission. They work well with big engine cars and low-powered small engine cars. The only trouble is how they sound. Many people don't like the fact that it actually sounds like your engine is staying at a constant velocity whenever you put your foot hard on the gas. It kind of...
I wouldn't like that either, because I'd feel like my vehicle is about to explode. I wouldn't like that because high RPMs, it's just unsettling and feeling. You know, I've had vehicles that didn't shift right, where the transmission was messed up. My last vehicle actually had an issue with it shifting, and the RPMs would just skyrocket, and it should be going to the next gear, but it doesn't. And like sucking the gas down, petrol, whatever you call it over there, right? Sucking it down because it's in like way, way, way higher RPMs than it should be. So the sound of that would not set well with me, I don't think.
It goes, and in fact, in one of my videos, I made a mistake of calling it a constant velocity transmission just because I was so used to hearing that constant velocity of the engine. They work well, they are efficient. If you drive gently, don't worry about it. But if you want to put your foot down, they're not very nice. So the reason why it's taken so long for automatics to become popular in the UK is simply because the technology to make a lightweight, low-powered car, which is most of the cars in the UK, automatic yet still drive in a decent way, has only become widely available recently.
So, off topic, but the guy reminds me of Tom Scott, not because he's British necessarily. The content, just him standing there talking about whatever it is with the community or the neighborhood or whatever behind him is very Tom Scott-esque. Check out Tom Scott's channel, actually, if you haven't already. I've had the pleasure of talking to him, actually. He sent me an email, which is crazy. I mean, because the dude is like ridiculously famous. I mean, he's got over 1 million subscribers or something, maybe 2 million. I don't even know, but it's up there. And I did a reaction to one of his videos with the drive-through McDonald's, or the McDonald's that you can float to. And, I didn't have the proper reactions, so he was like, hey, so then I started stepping it up. It was more of a watch party, guys. So then, I was early YouTube career. So then I'm like, okay, well, I got to start providing some more insight, guys. So Tom Scott gave me some good advice. And he gave me a massive email, which is crazy. He took the time out of his massively busy schedule, to actually email me, which is crazy. Probably the most famous person in the world that I've ever actually talked to. So somehow, if you're watching Tom Scott, because evidently you came across my other video, so shout out to you, buddy. And guys, go check out his channel. But this guy reminds me of him. Just the content, maybe not, Tom Scott doesn't do content about like specific cars or anything like that. It's just all over the place, mostly infrastructure videos. But yeah. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent.
But does that mean you shouldn't bother learning manual? You should just learn automatic, because all cars are going to be automatic soon.
No.
So the manual's going to be here for a bit longer than
drive manual.
They're going to be sold up until 2030 minimum.
That's it?
When the petrol and diesel ban comes in, and that ban essentially bans manual.
Petrol and diesel ban. So, okay, so that's when the cutoff of gas and petrol or whatever, and they're going to start going to electric vehicles? Interesting, I think.
However, that may be delayed. You never know. But let's say the ban happens in 2030. Then those cars are still going to be on the road for 10 to 20 years after that.
Yeah.
So the manual car will still be popular for quite a while yet. Getting a manual license does give
the rest of half of your life, guys. So don't disregard him yet.
you the freedom to drive whatever car you want. However, of course, learning automatic is easier. But is there another advantage to driving a manual? Or is it all just about the money?
Personally, I think, like I said earlier, you got a lot more control over the vehicle. And I feel like having driven both automatic vehicles and manual vehicles, I 100% think that the manual vehicle is better on gas. Because you're not taking that extra effort for the motor and the engine to do its thing. You just do it yourself. You can shift it as you want. You can avoid those high RPMs, which obviously a high engine RPM is high gas usage.
It's not just about the money. It's about the experience.
Yeah, it's fun.
If you're brought up around manuals, learned to drive a manual, subsequently got good at driving a manual, and live somewhere where you're not constantly in nose to tail, bumper to bumper traffic, you actually have access to some relatively quiet roads with a half decent speed limit.
Exactly.
You may also
exactly, like he said, when you're not in bumper to bumper traffic, I recommend a manual, guys. Like he said, they are so much fun. They really are.
enjoy driving a manual. It's not guaranteed, of course. Not everyone does. It's not everyone's cup of tea. But there are plenty who do. And as a result, with great British country roads, the manual has stayed strong for years. Yeah. Even though realistically, the economy and how much people earn in this country means that automatics aren't really out of the question. It is a bit of a choice.
They sound good too. They just
now,
sound so
I could
good.
be driving down this road in an automatic, but I know from experience I won't be having as much fun. There is a sense of joy from the achievement of achieving the perfect gear change.
And then there's the times that you don't shift right. But another thing, in America, we have a lot more hills and stuff, depending on the part of the country. I mean, obviously, it's a vast country. There's everything from flatness to canyons, but hilly areas, coupled with the stop and go traffic, if you have to stop on a hill going down, and it just makes it so much more difficult with the manual.
The downshift rev match, the heel and toe rev match, under braking.
Yeah. Oh,
and
cool.
He's got
driving videos. So go to the original video, guys, and then it looks like he's got tags for other videos. Go check this out, guys. You should check out his channel because it looks like he's got some damn good videos.
And kissing the red line, although you can do that in an automatic as well. Of course, drive responsibly.
With less control,
and that's part of what makes driving a manual so special. I didn't break the speed limit there, but I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
A very powerful automatic will shoot you up to very high speeds very quickly without you doing much at all.
Yeah.
Which leads you wanting to enjoy the speed as opposed to the involvement.
Exactly. And with a manual vehicle, I feel like it feels like you're going faster, even though when you're going slower, just because it's so involved. Like it's just so fun. It kind of makes me want to get rid of my automatic and get another manual, honestly.
So therefore, driving a manual enthusiastically allows you to have fun whilst being safe, because there's something else to enjoy.
Never thought about it.
Of course, manuals aren't for everyone. Some people just prefer automatics. I know both. Some people like auto, some people like manual. A lot of people like manual for the same reasons I do, and many people like automatic because, well, it's easier and they're not really enthusiastic about driving. They just want to get from A to B. Whoever you are, doesn't matter. Enjoy your car. Well, I hope this video helps you understand why manuals are still so popular in the UK.
He's having fun. Look at him.
If it does, please give the video a thumbs up and check out Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're a learner driver and want to insure yourself on a friend or family member's car, you can do so with Collingwood without affecting the owner's policy. And via the link.
Yeah, there you go. Go check out his link for that if you guys are interested. And is there any good comments here? Let's see here. Good thing about driving a manual in America is if somebody breaks into your car, they can't steal it. That's awesome. When I taught my sons to drive manuals, the argument I used was that their freeloading friends won't be able to drive their cars or click a charm. Yeah, so the consensus is if you don't want other people to borrow your car, get a manual. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, like I said, let me go back here. Hit like on the original video. I'm going to go ahead and do it now. You guys should go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go ahead and hit subscribe as well. I suggest you guys do that. Hit like, hit subscribe on my video as well. Hit the notification bell. You guys have a super fun, awesome day, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.